Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Steve about to react to this video about RRG. It's titled Dr. Cheyenne Bryant Gets Exposed Again. It keeps getting worse. I keep seeing headlines about this lady. I don't know her, but you know, people have been telling me to react to this, so I guess there's more things that came out about her, so we're gonna get the full picture of what's happening and why she's getting exposed. I guess she's not a real doctor, is what I'm gathering from the other related videos on this topic. But sure, let's see what's going on. Let's watch.
Offset was in your DM.
He just posed a question that said, hey, maybe you can help me with something. We never did a session. He was never my client. It was very specific to, you know, hey, maybe you can help me with something. He never said what.
Dr. Cheyenne Bryant is known as a life coach, spiritual mentor, author, and self-proclaimed doctor of psychology. But lately, people have been side-eyeing that title, questioning whether her credentials are actually legit. From viral interviews to motivational speeches, Cheyenne has built an entire brand around giving life advice and presenting herself as an expert in human behavior.
I read a study say the more educated a woman is, the freakier she is.
Facts.
I read that.
Facts.
I read that in Cosmo.
The facts.
The problem is, critics say some things about her background just don't add up. So, is Dr. Bryant really a qualified professional?
Like, if I'm a doctor, okay, I'm educated, and you know, we're here to discuss my knowledge in this field, and that's what you throw at me, is that I heard women who are educated, they freakier. Fuck out of here with this stupid ass question, this stupid ass comment, country ass. That would piss me off. Like, and the fact that she facts, and just such a pick me. Ew, that was gross.
Or is she just another fugazi internet personality playing dress up?
I'm gonna say fugazi for 200, Alex.
I am so excited to celebrate Dr. Cheyenne Bryant Day in Atlanta this weekend.
Before we dive deep into this tomfoolery, don't forget to scoop up something that's smoking Cheyenne being married.
What in the whodickery is going on here?
Yeah, remember, I was a kept woman.
Yeah.
And I can say this, I was engaged twice.
During her March 2026 appearance on The Breakfast Club, she tried to clear things up by saying she doesn't teach people how to be married. According to her, she's still qualified to give married couples advice because it's apparently better to listen to a single woman who's happy and thriving than somebody stuck in a miserable and failed marriage.
That's like asking a drug addict for tips on how to stay sober. They're like taking driving lessons from somebody who can't drive. They're like taking cooking lessons from a white lady. You know what I'm saying? Because where they do that at?
Cheyenne also claimed that married people love talking down on single folk.
And what happens is married people like to shun on single folks. The Bible also says single people are happy people. Look that up. Look that up.
Girl, what?
Social media immediately
Studies do show that. I don't know about the Bible, but there are multiple studies that show that a lot of single people, single women specifically, they tend to live longer and be happier. Look it up yourself.
Because nowhere in the Bible does it flat out say single people are happier than married people. That was very much Cheyenne's remix version.
Sure was.
And if there's one thing that critics say Cheyenne loves to do, it's reshape information until it fits the point she's trying to make. Unfortunately for her, people have started catching on. Another thing people started noticing about the not-so-good doctor is that Cheyenne has a habit of overgeneralizing relationships and boiling complicated dating issues down into simplistic hot takes. And somehow, no matter what the conversation is, women usually end up catching a stray. During a March 2026 appearance on
I called it. I said she was giving me pick-me vibes.
The Justin LaBoy Show, Cheyenne claimed she found women more delusional than men because she was personally meeting men who were supposedly better than the women she encountered.
There are so many men nowadays who are ready to be married, and I meet a lot of women who want to play the field. And when you start to look at women who want a man to just perform, which goes into the same field as gold digging, that's a woman who is considered a manizer.
Now, social media immediately hit her with the obvious question. If there are all these amazing marriage-ready men walking around, then how come Cheyenne herself still hasn't locked one down?
Boom.
And Cheyenne went on to say that women were abandoning their values by choosing men based on income, status, and financial success rather than appreciating good character. She argued that many women were overlooking wonderful men and basically doing themselves a disservice. Then she took it even further by implying that more men were marriage material than women.
Girl. Hell no.
A lot of people didn't appreciate her minimizing the very real frustrations women face in modern dating while acting like women themselves were the core problem. Critics also pointed out that for somebody claiming to speak from a psychological and professional standpoint, she offered very little actual data, research, or evidence to back up her sweeping claims. It was mostly vibes, personal opinions, and dramatic sound bites dressed up as professional insight. And let's just say, the internet wasn't exactly receiving it as groundbreaking wisdom. To many viewers, it started coming across less like unbiased expertise and more like a giant pick-me TED Talk from somebody still waiting to be chosen by the right man. All the drama really came to a head in 2026 when
She got a book,
Bryant
too?
started heavily promoting her book called Live Your Promise. In April of that year, she popped up on the Joe Budden podcast rocking a giant doc chain like she had just graduated from Hustlers University with honors. Naturally, the conversation turned to her credentials and
so
professional
catchy.
background, and baby, that's when things took a sharp left turn into confusion. Cheyenne explained that she started out as a family and marriage therapist nearly 18 years ago before eventually earning her doctorate in counseling psychology. According to her, once she became a doctor, she transitioned away from being a therapist and evolved into what she called a psychology expert with a private practice.
Psychology expert? Why not just say psychologist? I mean, baby, she ain't no damn doctor. Hell, it don't sound like she got a bachelor's.
From there, the conversation took a turn when Cheyenne casually revealed that she no longer practiced under a license since she was in private practice.
Now, my doctors have private practices where they operate under their licenses.
Exactly.
What
That's still
is she
license.
talking about? She could have did a quick little Google search now.
Isn't
You
this
don't
illegal?
lie right. Don't lie wrong.
She jumped into educator mode and basically told folks they didn't understand how therapy works. She claimed licenses are mainly necessary for therapists who bill insurance companies. According to her, licensed professionals must diagnose clients to obtain insurance approval. But many people allegedly don't want diagnoses attached to their records. So instead, they pay out of pocket. Cheyenne framed this entire setup as if she were bravely liberating clients from the oppressive shackles of insurance paperwork. Then she took it a step further and admitted she understood this approach could create a gap in the black community between people who could afford private sessions and people who couldn't. But in her eyes, the real issue was making sure therapists got paid what they deserved. In other words, if you're in emotional crisis, don't forget your therapist is struggling too. And when Joe and the cast brought up the criticism surrounding her lack of licensing, Cheyenne brushed it off by claiming her critics simply weren't ready to heal. According to her, she wasn't the issue at all. Everybody else was just spiritually and emotionally immature.
Tabby.
Ironically, while insisting she wasn't
blowing herself
diagnosing
kisses in the
anybody,
ear.
Cheyenne immediately started diagnosing her critics anyway. Suddenly, everybody had accountability issues, parental trauma, mommy issues, and unresolved wounds. She especially seemed convinced that women criticizing her were projecting jealousy and maternal trauma onto her success.
Iron is so thick you could just spread it on a piece of toast.
Then somehow the
full of
conversation
herself.
drifted into side chicks, trauma bonds, and dating men with children. And let's just say Cheyenne spoke on the topic with the confidence and authority of somebody who seemed extremely familiar with the field research. She explained that side chicks don't always want to replace the main woman because sometimes they simply connect with men through shared trauma.
Come again.
How you know
At that point, people online started joking that Cheyenne's real specialty wasn't counseling psychology at all. It was relationship trauma, side chick sociology, warning women not to date men with kids, and speaking in giant motivational word salads that somehow said everything and nothing at the exact same time. But if there's one thing Cheyenne truly mastered, it was doubling down with confidence no matter how wild the statement sounded.
You know what this remind me of? In a weird way, this remind me of Milli Vanilli. Y'all remember them folk that was lip singing that way? The little Lock twins. They weren't twins. I don't even know if they was related. Y'all just being bamboozled.
About a week later, Cheyenne continued her media tour and pulled up to the Breakfast Club, where the host brought up one of the biggest questions floating around online. Why couldn't anybody find her dissertation anywhere? And baby, Cheyenne came in hot.
Listen, I don't give a fuck what your narrative is. I would like for you to recreate it, double down on it, and run that because I don't give a fuck about it.
Is she okay? I mean, why you mad at us when you the one masquerading around like a doctor?
According to Cheyenne's latest version of events, she attended Argosy University and completed her graduate psychology program there.
Girl, I ain't never heard of no Argosy University. Does this mess even exist? Let me see. Hold on a second. Let me auntie pull out a laptop. Hold on a minute. Let me see. Argosy University. Okay, so the Google said Argosy University permanently ceased all educational operations and closed all of its physical campuses nationwide in March 2019.
When did she
the
say
closure
she
followed
went?
severe financial mismanagement under its parent company, Dream
sure it's
Center
before
Education
2019.
Holdings, and the termination of its federal
She looks more
student
mature.
financial aid funding. Well, damn. That sounds messy. Just like Cheyenne.
Years later, she allegedly needed official transcripts while applying for a law school teaching position because she wanted to become a professor. Sounds impressive, right? Well, Cheyenne claimed she went online to retrieve her records, only to discover that Argosy University had basically vanished into thin air. From there, she was reportedly directed to a third-party records holder that managed former student transcripts. But according to her, there was another problem.
That third party only holds records for 2 years. I was past
That
my
don't
2
make
years.
sense.
So that means that I had no access to records.
Conveniently, the paper trail had apparently evaporated.
Girl, this is all way too convenient. You just happen to go to a university that shut down, and your transcripts got lost in the matrix. Girl, go ahead and tell that lie to somebody else. Okay, go ahead
I
and
feel
kiss
like
my
that's
ass.
something you would be able to sue for just because the school closed down. Bitch, I did my time. Okay, I got my credits. I graduated. So you telling me that I can't get any of my credentials if it's been more than 2 years? That doesn't make any sense. So it's like it never happened. Then I never got educated. That's very convenient. I don't trust that. It doesn't make any sense.
What it sound like to me is
Lying.
she knows she ain't got none of these damn credentials and went and looked for a university that shut down. Now, you know what I'm saying? She spun that thing around. She backtracked. That's what she did.
Then came the part of the story that really made the internet lean forward in their seats. Cheyenne explained that financial aid records somehow confirmed she had paid for all her higher education program.
It shows that I paid for a doctoral program.
Doctoral? She ain't even say it right. Well, girl, doctoral. You mean doctorate?
According to Cheyenne, they even offered to refund her tuition money. The catch, she would allegedly lose credit for every class, every course, and every program she completed.
What?
Naturally, she declined the offer because apparently she was standing on principle. Luckily for Cheyenne, she had also downloaded copies of her transcripts years earlier from old student portals. According to her, she conveniently had documentation for basically everything, leading right up to her dissertation. But the actual dissertation itself and the remaining institutional records were missing, gone with the wind. Cheyenne blamed Argosy and the third-party record holders for the mess and insisted it ultimately didn't affect her career anyway because she doesn't practice under a license.
We still sticking with that, huh? All right.
After all that confusion, missing paperwork, disappearing schools, and magical transcript downloads, Cheyenne arrived at her final conclusion. People only question her because of pretty punishment.
Fix it, Black Jesus.
According to Cheyenne, she's simply too attractive, too intelligent, and too accomplished for people to handle. She argued that nobody spends as many years in school as she allegedly did just to become famous. And if fame were her goal, she claimed she could have easily pursued acting or modeling instead.
Girl, you're acting right now, and you're modeling yourself after a plum fool, okay?
All the hoopla surrounding Cheyenne's credentials reached another level in May 2026 when she appeared on The Marissa Mitchell Show. The interview was supposed to focus on her newest book, but let's be real, everybody wanted answers about the same thing. Was Dr. Cheyenne Bryant actually a doctor?
Why not drop doctor from your name? I've earned the title, I have multiple degrees, and I'm not going to prove anything to anybody, and we're going to leave it just as that.
Needless to say, the internet remained completely unsatisfied with Cheyenne's non-answers and continued refusal to provide straightforward documentation. At some point, people stopped being dazzled by the motivational speeches and started actually fact-checking her claims. And once folks started pulling receipts, the whole thing began unraveling fast. So let's break down some of Cheyenne's biggest and messiest lies. First up was Cheyenne's claim that you don't need a license if you're operating in private practice. According to actual professional standards and licensing requirements, that statement is flat out false. The Healthy website confirms that therapists absolutely do need active, valid licenses to legally practice, including in private practice settings, and that those licenses must generally apply to the states where clients are being treated, even online. Then there was Cheyenne's claim that licenses are mainly necessary for insurance billing purposes. Again, not true. Being licensed doesn't automatically mean insurance companies throw money at you. Providers still have to go through credentialing processes where their education, training, certifications, and professional background are reviewed before they're accepted into insurance networks. The whole system is designed to confirm that professionals are actually qualified to treat people. Cheyenne also claimed that most people don't want diagnoses attached to their records, which is supposedly why they prefer paying out of pocket. The problem is, she never provided any evidence for that sweeping statement. And then there was her dramatic explanation about insurance only covering 6 weeks of therapy before requiring another diagnosis. Once again, that's not some universal hard rule floating around in the mental health world. Now, let's get to one of the biggest holes in her story, Argosy University. While it's true that the school shut down in 2019, the American Psychological Association states that degrees earned there before closure are still considered valid. Not only that, but records and transcripts are still maintained through designated third-party services. And according to federal guidelines, there are state contacts and official channels specifically created to help former students from closed schools retrieve academic records. In other words, the "my records disappeared into the Bermuda Triangle" explanation wasn't exactly landing the way Cheyenne probably hoped it would. From everything people have been able to dig up, it appears Cheyenne may never have actually been licensed at all and may simply hold an undergraduate psychology degree. And to be clear, nobody's saying there's anything wrong with earning a psychology degree. The issue is that having an undergrad degree doesn't magically make somebody a licensed psychologist. At the end of the day, a growing number of people feel like Cheyenne's entire brand is built more on confidence, charisma, and motivational wordplay than actual verified expertise. Between the disappearing dissertation, the confusing licensing explanations, the pretty punishment defense, and the non-stop double talking, critics say the whole situation is giving fabrication, exaggeration, and delusion wrapped in a luxury self-help package.
Yeah.
Honestly, at this point, people just want a transcript, a license number, and maybe a little honesty. And if all else fails, perhaps the good doctor should consider finding a real therapist herself.
Oh.
If you enjoyed this
I don't know. Something about this feels very illegal. Like, she can get into serious trouble for this. Because can you really be, leading these people to believe that you have your credentials when you really don't? What if they only want to be a client of yours and pay for your services because they think that you are a professional and you went to school for this? How can you just lie? So I could just lie and tell people I'm a psychologist, and then I'm taking new clients, and everything is cool, and I don't have to show no proof of that. That doesn't make any sense to me. I'm thinking about other people who have been frauds, like the veneer techs and things like that. They have definitely served jail time and gotten serious trouble. I mean, that is a bit different because that's very dangerous, and you're doing procedures on people without a license. But I mean, this is psychologically dangerous. Like, you might be like mentally messing people up, with your fake credentials and fake licenses and whatnot. So this seems pretty wild. But yeah, y'all let me know what y'all think about all this, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.